So here go the latest shit with the house or whatever that I was kind of calling a mosque on a couple episodes back, and we had an annuity that dropped on House Capital um, last night. So the whole contract kind of went null and void, and it's funny because it's like no one could tell me that it's a part of being a CEO. I had to read that myself and to see that people that's using houses to win bets is equity. All of that's up under an annuity. You got a lot of people that's doing that, and that's pretty much how they bet. And that's where I was trying to move into, so I won't be homeless or whatever. But come to find out, I'm winning more money, not really being homeless, but being a traveling man or a traveling person than, someone that's putting their house up betting. Because last night, that was deemed to be nothing. So people that got equity and, land and stuff like that, and they're putting that up to bet, it's not going to be used as a commodity because of the fact that this federal program has visaed all money. That's why I'm gonna say it one more time. This federal program has visaed all money, and it's to the point with sports where, like, if you're not seeing about 7 points on those single sports, like sports that score single numbers, mostly like baseball and hockey and tennis and stuff. If you're not seeing like 7 points, you're not really seeing any money. And then, of course, all the even scorers represent internal money, money to the government, federal programs, IRS. So this is what's really going on in this world is like it's a lot of sports and stuff like that um, that you can kind of bet on. But really, the first sport was always soccer. It's the first original sport in this country was soccer. And it's a reason for that because the soccer units are the most stable, and they're what was called the elder units that hold the annuities. It was doing an annuity reading since this country has been operating for the past since the Philadelphia since it broke away from Philadelphia and became a nation or whatever, like from the Continental Congress and became America. There's been like over 400,000 different annuities that still have not been visa, meaning that there's over 400,000 different ones, like 1 to 0 binary code games that this country is up under an annuity from. So with that, a lot of sports are negative, man. Like betting in them. I'm talking about long-term bets. Short-term bets, that's cool, but long-term bets, a whole lot of it is negative. And then you got the scenario too where like you can't even really bet uh, short bets anymore because with sports, you got to think about it. It's the most lucrative. It's like one of the most lucrative industries. So usually in your city, your team, like whatever your football team or your basketball team, is probably the land holder over those annuities that I spoke of. And usually, unless some corporation or some big major entrepreneur or something gets enough money to buy back those units, which probably would never happen because we're talking about more than billions of dollars, probably going into like trillions of dollars possibly. This is a part of the debt that they say we're up under. Until that annuity is visa, we're up under a debt. Because the annuity represents really, when you see a 1 to 0 hand, this represents international trade. And really any team or any entrepreneur that has enough money could claim any team, because what happens is that the team that's up under zero is up under default all of its commodities. And you got to remember, when these 1 to 0 drop, this doesn't affect the players and the actual team. I mean, they're still going to get paid. This is about the scores for credit. So this affects the entrepreneur. So people are like, well, you saying all these 1 to 0 drop, but the athletes are okay. Yeah, the athletes are up under a separate contract. This is not speaking about the athletes' money. This is going into like the points in the credit system and how this country is called the United, which stands for units too. United, you see the term unit. The United States or the units of America is what I'm speaking on. And the units of America is where you get the UCCs from, the credit scores from, to rank and to rate people so that they can get credit and get approved for stuff. So when I'm talking about this is very high tech because you could see a score like a 10 to 11 and be like, oh, that team scored 10 points and they beat them and they only got 11 points. But the person that scored 10 points may actually have put up more money than the person that actually won off of 11 points. Like the 10 points may be worth more money than the 11 points. Just because you see a higher score doesn't mean that that score is reflective of like what's greater or lesser when you start talking about units. Units have to be pretty much put into a formula and translated into currencies, different currencies. And that's pretty much what's happening. So like the fact that this country is going off of a positive credit scale from my perspective and going into more of a negative credit spectrum, to me represents in betting, we're going to be betting mostly on soccer, mostly because of the fact that it's the elder sport that holds a lot of the units for this country. And until that's cleaned up and those annuities are visa, because that's the good thing about soccer, they continue to visa the same annuities over and over again at different points in time so that you can jump in at any time and read them. So what I mean by that is that you don't have to go back to the 1800s and look at the games and who won this cup or who won that championship and what year this team started and what year. No, you can jump in at any time if you know how to do formulas and readings and figure out where the annuities are at and start from there. So that's pretty much what I do in my spare time, just for fun. And then anybody that, you know, like helps out in this is just essentially helping me to have more time to study and build more credit. I mean, we usually just studying this stuff, we usually move like $2,000 a day, just studying it. Not even really trying to actually flip a bunch of money. Like if we put our head into it, I mean, we can move thousands of dollars, but of course, it's a catch to that. You know, like you have to have money coming in to kind of match up with, like, if I'm moving $10,000, I have to be able to at least prove 1% of that in a day coming in escrow. So I mean, you got to figure that's $100 in a day. So I have to go out. That's why I go out in the community and stuff like that. Because if I can't come up with $100 in credit in a day, that doesn't justify me moving like large amounts, like 10,000, anything over 5,000. So that's essentially how it works right there. Hope you learned something. You guys keep studying, stay vigilant. Peace.